Airships have officially been canceled. Yes, that is right. Square Enix and Yoshi P said, screw your airships. Final Fantasy 16's not gonna have them, and they're never coming back to the franchise ever again. Okay, now that the hyperbole and clickbait is out of the way, let's talk about this Game Informer interview where they speak to Hiroshi Takai, who is the director of Final Fantasy 16, and he speaks a little bit more on how exactly you're going to be traversing the world of Valisthea. Takai goes on to say, to tell you the truth, it's pretty much just chocobos. In past Final Fantasy games, you'd have canoes or boats or cars to travel in. But in Final Fantasy 16, because our game is based on that main world map and traveling from that world map and doing fast travel from that, we found that there wasn't really a need for any kind of expanded type of traversal system. So yeah, currently, we only have walking and chocobos. Now, Game Informer does go on to note that Takai says that there are parts of the story where Clive will use other types of traversal, but those are not going to be accessible everywhere. Now, in my opinion, this is fine. This is great. I have no issue. I do not feel like the sky is falling like some other people are claiming. From what we know Final Fantasy 16 to be, it's not an open world game. At least it's not a true open world game. Yeah, there's going to be biomes that are medium sized and some that are a little bit bigger, but you won't need an airship to get around those areas. Walking on foot, using a chocobo, or using fast travel is going to be just fine. Having an airship take you everywhere would probably be weird and break the game's immersion, and like we've already read before, there's going to be segments in the game where you're in one part of the world, a cutscene hits, and then boom, you're transported to another part of the world map automatically. So that's not really a big issue, and this also really isn't anything new. Look at Final Fantasy X. While you did have an airship in that game, you didn't get to actually fly it. You had a world map, you picked where you wanted to go, and boom, you were there automatically. Now, previous Final Fantasies like 7, 8, and 9 did all have their own airships, but back then, those world maps, while they seemed huge, are pretty small by today's standards, so airships for those games were necessary. And then of course, you have Final Fantasy 15, which allowed you to travel through many different forms. There was fast traveling, which took a while because the game took forever to load. You could use chocobos, and you could also use the regalia, which was your go-to taxi to traverse around the lands. You could use it in car form. You could even make it into a four-wheeling monster truck. And you could even unlock its final form, which was kind of like a mini airship. But that form was an absolute nightmare to control. Seriously, if you even scraped a tree, you were dead. And that thing was going to crash and burn, and you'd have to reload your save all over again. So you don't really need an airship in a Final Fantasy game, especially for 16, which again, it's not a true open world game. So having one would just be kind of weird, unless it acted as like a hub area, maybe later in the game. But a game like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, or the third part of the trilogy, I would expect to have an airship. But that is another discussion for another time. I am Curious Corduroy. That is the video. Let me know in the comments down below, what do you think of 16 not having an airship? Is the sky falling? Is this a bigger deal than I'm making it out to be? Let me know in the comments down below. I will see you guys in the next video, and please remember to always be excellent to one another.